Today we're going to answer the question, do I need it? As it pertains to 10 different topics, including should I buy an OLED? Or must I replace my 64GB SSD? Or even if you should be using other Proton versions. All this and more are coming up, so stick around. Do you need to buy the OLED over the LCD? Let's assume that money is no object. You're really asking, is the OLED worth the extra money over the LCD? There are three major things that the OLED has that, in my opinion, makes it worth it. First is obviously the screen, OLED, 90 Hz, and a far improved touchscreen from the LCD. Second, the incredible upgrade in battery life. 30 to 50% is not hyperbole. You're going to see considerably longer playtimes with the OLED, and playtime without power is of core importance to any handheld. Finally, it runs way cooler with a quieter fan, which really makes a difference to some people. Along with these three, I'll give you 17 things that the OLED has over the LCD. If you can afford the OLED, I 100% say it is worth it. Do I need to replace the 64GB SSD? Common mistake new buyers make is thinking that the 64GB SKU is perfectly acceptable because they plan to throw in a very large SD card and call it a day. Truth is, that 64GB SKU has 46GB free, and Valve doesn't disclose all the things that will install on that internal storage, whether you want it there or not. Installing a simple indie game, A Hat in Time, will eat 12GB of that 46GB free space, even if you install it on the SD card. I do not consider the 64GB SSD acceptable for normal use. I recommend anybody buying this SKU to order a bigger SSD at the same time. And before you get all nice and cozy with that 46GB of space, replace it with something bigger. 256GB is good, anything bigger is better. Do I need to install Decky Loader? Decky Loader is a tool that wedges itself into your OS and provides you with the ability to install and use plugins to extend the functionality of your deck. Need? In the old days, there was a great argument for plugins like power tools to improve emulation, but these days, Decky Loader is optional, but useful. I wouldn't call it a day one thing, but if a plugin can improve the quality of your life, dip your toes in there. Just remember that Decky Loader and its plugins break frequently, usually with every update, and you should never expect these things will be updated to continue working after that. Developers do them for free, after all. Do I need Cryo utilities? This is a hard one. Cryo utilities is often touted as some magic bullet to make your deck run better, faster, and smoother. It also has utilities designed to fake out the system and move system-level files to the SD card, among other things. Even before SteamOS 3.6 basically made it obsolete, I never really recommended Cryo utilities to anyone without a very specific use case. There are ways that stop certain types of game crashes, but you can make those changes on the deck without it. And I have certainly never recommended that anyone move things like compat data and shader cache folders to the SD cards for many reasons. Leave a comment down below if you want a video discussing this very thing. So leave Cryo out of the equation until it fixes a very specific problem that pertains to SteamOS 3.6. Do I need to change my VRAM to 24GB? No, please, God, no. Why would Valve not preset this in the BIOS if it was the game changer it's purported to be? You will still get recommended to do this by many sources and by the above-mentioned Cryo utilities, but its value is only really useful if you're running Windows on your deck. This setting can even cause performance problems with older games, including the older Call of Duty games, despite this option being sold as a performance enhancer. Just say no. Do I need to use other Proton versions? Proton can be a puzzling thing in Steam Deck world. What version should I use? Should I be using GE Proton? Some other Proton? What the hell is Proton anyway? Now, you may get advised that GE Proton is always the best and that the latest versions are always the best, but that's just not always true. Proton is way too big of a topic to be discussed in a quick video like this one, but my advice is much like Cryo utilities. Don't use GE Proton unless a reliable source instructs you to do so, and use the version that you are told. I've created a flowchart for deciding on Proton versions, and I'll show it here as well as put a quality copy in the description below. If you want more videos on Proton, what it is and how it works, leave a comment below. Check out my Proton 101 video while you're down there. Do I need to buy a dock? Steam Deck is made to be an amazing handheld, and if that's how you use it, a dock simply isn't necessary. But if you should want to hook the deck up to a display, use a mouse or keyboard, wire it up to Ethernet, a dock is great. But don't be fooled and beguiled into spending more than you need to. I own the official dock and a $20 Amazon dock, and they both work equally well. I have a great buyer's guide on choosing the right dock, and you can see it in the description below. Do I need to have a keyboard and mouse for the Steam Deck? No, as long as you're using the Steam Deck absolutely to purpose as a portable, handheld gaming PC that plays a large swatch of Steam games. But the second you start straying from purpose, installing third-party software, hacking around in the console, pretty much anything at all Linuxy, a mouse, and more importantly, a keyboard is highly recommended. You don't need a $100 gaming keyboard. A simple $3 crap keyboard you picked up from Goodwill does the job just fine. Remember, if you're going to color outside the lines, bring the right box of Crayolas. Do I need to do anything on day one of getting my Steam Deck? No. No, 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 no. Unpack your new deck. Get it updated, install some games, and just enjoy it. There will be plenty of time to be miserable chasing tweaks, compatibility layers, third-party digital lockers, and all that nonsense later. Be a happy deck owner on day one, not a FOMO-ridden unhappy one. Do I need a good or expensive microSD card? SD cards come in two basic configurations, cheap or fast. Pick one. The SD card isn't where you want to cut costs. You want quality, dependability, speed, and a quality warranty. Stick with brand name cards like SanDisk, Samsung, and make sure the card is A2 V30. And remember, if the deal seems too good to be true, the card is fake. Save your time, effort, and energy. Just buy quality up front. I recommend the SanDisk Extreme, not the Pro or specialty versions, as it has a lifetime warranty, and in my test, it performs on par with the SSD in most read and write operations. You can't go wrong. Wait for a sale, get the biggest one you can afford, about $90 for 1 terabyte at the time of this video. Don't go cheap, but don't overpay. Use good common sense and you'll end up with a quality, fast, and durable card. Do I need to install or use Windows? The time of this video, a fully working Windows isn't even possible on the OLED Steam Deck, as all of the drivers are not yet available. Even if they were, or you have the LCD model, chances are likely that you are the only one that can make this decision. Windows is honestly kind of miserable with a handheld, in my opinion. But if you can't be without free-to-play, anti-cheat enabled games, you really have no choice but to run Windows in some capacity, at least some of the time. Remember, there are numerous ways to experience Windows on deck. It doesn't have to replace SteamOS. There are dual boot options, which tend to get wiped out frequently. At the time of this video, there's no supported dual boot method by Valve. Or you can boot Windows from some external drive when you just gotta have it. Most of us don't need Windows. In fact, we bought the deck because it isn't running on Windows. I have a bootable Win11 drive laying around if I need it, but honestly, I really don't use it much anymore. Well, that's gonna wrap it up, folks. Which of these tips was your favorite? Leave a comment down below. And whether you agree or disagree with me on every topic, won't you thumbs up the video and subscribe to the channel? It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, and thrash that bell if you want to be notified of my future videos. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.